Hey guys, I'm back on again. Decided to come back after early dinner, late lunch, whatever, with the with the family. Um, so I am still working on this setup and tried adding a couple things into my stream. So we'll see how they're working. I've got a light box and a little closer in on everything, so I think we're gonna have a little bit better lighting. Still can't get super close to the camera, but I think it's better than it was. And I also my man threw a microphone on for me. So we shall see if that is improved also. So let's finish trimming this out. And then I'll get back to the other sets. So we're just going to keep on slicing this. And if you guys caught my previous stream, we set this all up. I don't have a color recipe for the gold color because I don't remember what it is. I'm thinking it's a combination of metallics, most likely something with copper or bronze, copper and bronze. I don't think there was a color in it. I honestly think it's just a mix of metallics, but I can't remember for the life of me what metallics it was. And then the tealy blue or the tealy green is Primo Forest Green mixed with white. And it might have a little copper in it because I was on a copper kick when I mixed up the bunch of colors that are floating around. So I'm assuming it's got some copper in it. And kind of over trimmed that. Yeah. So I didn't get this. I should have rolled this a little bit thinner. I had the three colors. So the orangey color. Oh, my off-white is an ecru color. It's usually like two parts white, one part ecru or one part pearl, and then a half a part ecru, if even that much. Sometimes it's less than half a part ecru. And the rollers that we're playing with here, the one I'm on right now, is Sarak grass. And some of that's actually coming up really good for scraps too. But yeah, so the first three colors were stacked and then rolled onto a zero and then stretched down to a three and then stacked on that dark brownish purple. I want to keep some of that on top because I'm liking that. I actually think I'm going to work off to the side of that and try to keep some of that zipper look. I had to use the right side of the blade. The other side's not going to cut very well. But yeah, so stacked together, rolled down to a three, and then stacked on top of that darkish purpley, bronzy, blacky color. That was rolled out on a zero, stacked them together, rolled it back onto a zero. And forgetting how that I'm working with the tiny rollers, but I had that more in mind. I probably would have rolled it even thinner, but I only had exactly enough of this purpley blacky color to back it at as it was, so I would have not had that as my backing color. No, I don't know. Might have been the right decision. Maybe I could have gotten it skinnier. I'm liking the effect. It's really nice on the other set, but I was hoping a little more of that purpley black would come through. So yeah, I'm just not getting it exposed as much as I'd like, especially over here. But these don't cut quite as deep or don't press quite as deep as the other set did. All right, I think we're doing good there. Try to just get a little bit more color change. Oh, that bit a little deep. It's cool, but it bit a little deep. All right. Yep, I'm going to call that one done. So we'll pick up all these scraps. This will work well for beading, for making small beads. That piece is interesting, so I'll leave that sitting around. And let's see. On this one, use another. No. No, that's the right one. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yep, that's my account. Sorry, we're working on trying to troubleshoot a little bit of. I don't even know if I know my password. Yeah, that's not right. Sorry, guys. Give me half a second to troubleshoot here. Go. Alrighty. Boop. Apparently, my chat might not be showing up because I might not have been. Well, how is it streaming if I'm not logged in? I don't know. Hmm? Oh, it's just the chat wasn't logged in. Ah, that's why it's not bringing up the chat on my screen. To be honest, the live stream. Wow, that one cuts out so cool. I love the way that cuts out. It's such a neat. I love the way it stays all laced together like that. It's such a pretty slice on this. Hanging on to those scraps because those are definitely worth beating with in a little bit. This might be a little messy, but no, those might still be usable too. So yeah, I will definitely say this is pretty epic Mukumegane texture. Let's see. Probably. Oh, it's not working. Why isn't it working? Is Numlock locked out? I don't know. You can troubleshoot that. Trying to catch all of those little segments and make sure I pull up everything that's got the ability to pull up but still leave most of the details down. Those are getting really thin. Well, little cross members and little jagged bits. I'll have multiple colors in them. Those little cross pieces. There we go. Now I'm getting them. There, a little bit more there. All right, I think that looks pretty darn good. Let's grab a few more of these guys. This is a lot trickier to try to get the right amount of. Oh, ooh, that's perfect. And that held up really well. Sweet. Oh, don't touch the other ones. I want to be able to pick you guys up and use you again in a little bit. Oh, no, too deep, too deep, too deep. Sometimes if you just like pivot and go a different way, but yeah, it still took out a little bit too much. Not terrible, but not great. Lost too much detail there. You probably can just go scrap pile. Too much. So the goal here is to slice away what's above all the orange without necessarily getting much deeper than that, so that we keep the orange to blue with a bit of white highlights. And if I to stretch this out a little thinner, we'd be exposing some black also when we slice off, but I didn't get it quite as thin as I should have probably. So scraps get thrown in the little scrap ball. Ah, you're stuck to everything. Go away. I don't want it overly consistent. I kind of want this, some of it's more cutaway, some of it's less cutaway. I love like this area where we're getting some of the dark color underneath. Enough of that slice back. There we go. That's not sliced back at all. There we go. Try to keep that just like that because it's a cool little piece. If I can set somewhere where I'll be able to pick it back up again. Like that. That little center spot. All right, that's probably good there too. Okay, so is next. I'm gonna clean up all these little tidbits that are irrelevant. Put them in the scrap heap. And this will probably become just a set of beads on its own. So we can roll that out pretty good. Oh, sweet. Mic may need more tuning, but sounds clean. Sweet. We're getting there, getting things done. All right, so one of my favorite things is how Kumigane scraps make such just fun patterning for beads. So that'll be a cool one to just chop up and turn into a few beads and make really nice accent pieces if I was making chunky jewelry out of this, which I might end up with a piece or two of that because, you know, always ends up happening. Okay, so I'm going to try to get most of these scrappy pieces over here. A tile that I can dip out of the way for a minute so that we can clean up our main slabs. Oh, stay, land, stay put. Kind of just messy. Those are messy. Those are really thin, so it's going to be hard to reuse that stuff, but it might end up having a place to be reused. Sometimes you need small scraps to fill in the spaces between the big stuff you put down, so now it's all sticking. All right, you get to just get shoved on here somewhere, actually, that way. And you just go somewhere. There you go. Okay. And you come over here. Off of my tile. Shoo! Shoo! And you too. Okay. Be gone. Eek! Stuck on my nail. Ah! Alrighty. Almost all the scraps stuffed away. You guys, there's not much you to work with, unfortunately. But, alright. Ah! Oh, I am still causing trouble. Go there. Stay put. Alrighty. So, scraps, pieces can just get tucked aside. And go ahead and burnish this out. Where? Oh, where? There it is. Oop. Now I'm knocking things all over the place. Remember, there's a softbox there. That's causing trouble. Oh, yay, yes. We got my volume worked out. Hopefully you can let me know if you think my microphone's better than the old sound was. I'll have to listen back to it, which I'm really bad at watching myself back. But I will be checking it out and seeing if we're improving things. And I think my little light box is an improvement. I think that's helping out a ton. All right, so get this mostly flattened out. So if I was to be making something out of this for jewelry's sake, I'd probably want it flattened completely. I plan on rolling up beads out of this, so it doesn't need to be like super flat because we're gonna end up rolling it anyway, but I still just want it like neatened up and a little bit more even in depth. So my little log can go hang out with its buddies over there in the scrap pile. I think this is going to be a little bit trickier to turn into because most of the visual interest is, nah, actually, that'll make a pretty neat log of, this sounds cool. That should make a pretty cool log. bead logs. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut these in half. One thing I'm bummed about is I'm not going to get to see much of that dark purpley plummy color, because I can't quite get it to expose without it just being chunks and losing all detail. So that was my bad. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and cut these guys in half. Firmer blade for pulling those up. Go. Move on. All right. Our tabletop is cleared. And there we go. So now we pick 4-color. Almost filled my plate of scrap. All right, scrap plate needs. Oh, we lost the bead log. There we go. That needs to go elsewhere for now. Where I stuffed it wasn't working. Stay. Okay. And then what we need is a color for the center of our log. And I think I'm just going to chop up some white, because even though that's all off white, I don't think we'll end up seeing the center of this log. So rather than wasting colors that are harder to get, we'll just throw some white in the middle of a log. So probably about like that. Let's go thirds and thirds, see if that'll work. Just gonna need to get the clay to wake up a little bit. Sometimes I'll run it through the roller, sometimes I'll just roll it. Wakey, wakey. Yeah, it's gonna need a little bit extra waking up. It's getting chunky. All right. Where is my rolling pin? Just wake up a little bit. These guys. As I understand it, plasticizers in the clay start to separate, and that's why you have to condition it, is to make sure that everything that makes it turn into plasticiness is all worked through everything. Come on, don't leave scraps down. And at the moment, I don't care if this gets muddy and not very white, because it's going to be the center of beads and we're never going to see it again. I said, mostly I use white or black because I have big old pound chunks of it. And then I don't have to replace the color. I just keep a bunch of that on hand. And it's probably the least expensive way to buy it. There we go. We get somewhere. Waking up. Okay, let's grab like that much of that. So typically the beads I make are made to fit on paracord, because I use them for dog show leads, which is what started this whole game of making beads. But to be honest, sometimes it's interesting to use them other ways too. So usually if I bother putting cores in them, though, they're going to be that dog lead size. So it's about a 4 to 5 millimeter hole that I want in them. All right, so we're going to pull that forward, mark where our edge is, and then if I cut it this way and a little bit past, I should get a nice little beveled edge. And we can do whatever we want with that later, either make more beads or multi-side another bead or something. But all right, the next set I can make a little thinner because this is really fat. So this will end up getting stretched down a good bit. So and like I was saying about this particular Grim Grin, is just there's not as much detail. I would have really needed to thin out my layers. So I might try making something else with it. But I still think it'll make some interesting beads. That chunk is unnecessary. That just might be unnecessary, but it might be kind of a cool piece. That's totally unnecessary. rest of that actually will chunk into some kind of cool looking striped beads. Here, I'll go ahead and sample one of them. So once you do that, kind of round the edges in. That actually will make a better looking bead than I would have guessed to begin with. So, yep, totally worth using. All right, so that's a cool bead set. And next, I'm going to go ahead and go a little bit thinner though, because we definitely don't need them quite that thick. Although we could play around with some chunky fat beads. All right, there. Need to stretch it out long enough. The next one we'll do is the Sarak grass one. So I want to go ahead and stretch our core out full width. Stretching this so much thinner, I might have an easier time actually making. Yeah, that's why, it's because this is still kind of fat. So I might end up being able to have a little bit more left over on this one. Again, that kind of reverse 45-degree angle gives me a little bit of a beveled edge, so it doesn't show that interior. Granted, as much as I like that interior color, I wouldn't be opposed to it showing up, but like I said, I think this will end up being actually some really, yeah, that's got a little bit more visual interest to it. So I think that'll make really pretty beads. And we don't need that. That's actually kind of cool. I'm leaving that there. All right, so next one, extra scraps aside. At this point, those can just be all rolled together. And to be honest, that makes kind of a fascinating bead too. I'll use that as core for something, probably. Alrighty, so our wired pattern. I'm going to start on this side. And we'll end up with a little overlap. A little bit of a 3/4 angle. To make sure that that all lines up. I'm not losing any. So over here. Sweet. Cut off the long ends. That was the back of the blade. To do that every so often. All right, and then now we've got a chunk big enough to make a core for that last set. I'm not gonna lie. You know what? We're gonna hang on to this and make beads out of this too. That's just too cool looking to. Yep, that's definitely hanging around. More twist on you. It has like the faded, subtle version of those colors. All right, so now I need more white again. And maybe another tile. And I don't have another tile. So these can get set aside while I wake that up. There, over there. Wakey, 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 wakey. Okay, that feels pretty mobile. No, 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 no. You guys don't need to fuss about stuff. You're all right, guys. No, they're coming through. Bop, 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 bop. Hey, quiet. No. Poor babies. They were all put up for dinner and they were all being so good and quiet. And now they're bored with their circumstances in life and want to come back to causing trouble. Right? bossy little whatnots is what they are. All right, kiddos. I hear you. We know. All right. That's got a good little finish to it. Roll you out. All nice and set in there. So sometimes I find if I don't like the seam on it, if it just looks a little bit too chunky for me, I'll take actually use stainless steel knitting needles. Find them on Amazon or Temu or whatever. And I use them as little tiny rollers. And that solved that problem pretty well. All right. And now we're back to having big end chunks again. So more scraps. Yay! Okay. So, woofy woofies. Quiet, quiet, guys. I think they're getting mad at the noise the printer's making, which I think we got the volume worked out where you guys don't have to deal with the printer noises, but that's really, really cool. All right, so I've got those for doing round beads, and then I was kind of thinking we could maybe do like front and back. Just contemplating here, kind of brainstorming a little, rather than only doing the chunky beads. I was thinking we could do something kind of like these guys. And it's like a long thin bead. Quiet, quiet, guys. But we'll need something to fill it up way more than that. Or even, oh, I don't have that bracelet sitting here. The one we finished up earlier. That last night, I think we were finishing. Yeah, we were finishing up that last night. It's just clay everywhere. Clay on clay on clay on clay. That is not a roller. This is. Roly, 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 roly. Okay. Actually, we're gonna have to hit the. Yep, possibly does still show up on the audio. Looks like it's okay though. It doesn't look like it's super, super loud. Probably that way. I don't want to get, actually, rather than making that clean up, I can just cut it off. Be gone with you. That was the sharp outside. Okay, that's better. Yeah, I'm asking for trouble. All right, I want to kind of roll that and soften that edge. What I'm thinking here is, and one side it this. Some wrapping up the edge. Cut a little bit of that off. We don't have extra too much extra. A little bit extra. Chop off those ends, that's fine. Alrighty, more scrap in the scrap pile. And then let's do this one on the back side. Will it fit that whole way? I shouldn't have scrap piled as much scrap pile as I scrap piled. Tear that off. Leave that hanging around. Now pop that there. There. Pull it back where it's not needed. And over here we can definitely blade nip that off. Yep, that was totally fine to do. And then I need to fill in just a little something. Actually, I'm gonna hold on. Snag, get rid of that, and put it there. And let's see, be able to just fill that in. Oh, look, a dot. A handy little dandy little dot. All that closes down. Shout air bubbles as I see them. That was a little light roll. This side, a little light roll. And now I'm debating whether I want to make beads out of that or actually just a cool chunky pendant out of that. Now we're going to push you back together a little, kind of picking you up. Air bubble. I'm trying to just aim for a really organic feel here. Kind of reducing it as I would a cane a little bit. I really want it to kind of thicken in a bit. I need to flatten it. Still got that air bubble there. There we go. Okay. So it's definitely thick enough now. We can make beads out of that. Or to be honest, remember that bracelet situation from the other day? I'm thinking what happens if we pull this longer? I might be able to make this work without breaking. About 7 inches long or so. The issue is though, I don't know. I wonder if there's a dog hair in that. Oh, of course there is. The issue I'm thinking is my blank is too round. And that's what messed it up the other day is I had to pull it in from there. And I don't have a blank that's the right shape yet. I was planning on gotten making them, but then I have to figure out how to devote another printer just to that resin again. So, or the other option is I can just cut this down into short beads like these guys, but it's white in the center, so it's going to take some working around. I think that would work though. Let's see. That's probably the least attractive part of that. So let's just pull that out. See if we can't get this to pinch over. Okay. And the way it's just got such a, like, again, grunge, which is why I called this collection grunge, the way it's got just that really almost native feel to the coloring and the patterning. I'm thinking it'd be really cool to have just this effect of just very rough, rough shape on the beads. I'm kind of liking it. So do we keep them kind of squarish? Or do we run them rounded on the ends and then turn them into necklace beads? Because that would make a pretty cool, yeah, let's do that. Okay, that's got cool shape to it. That should make a cool necklace bead. All right, I'm gonna have to let that sit a moment. It's getting really sticky and soft, so I need it to kind of firm up so I can final shape it a bit. Okay, so let's run end over, just pinch it together till it connects. And I have to do the same thing here. And yes, I had no plan to start with. I just wanted to make beads of sorts. A little bit of a roly roly. Bring me in a little. That's helping. I want to get super fat. I want them to be kind of a little more oblong finish and yeah, just kind of looking kind of native. You know, oh, little tiles will help. That'll help me get them to kind of flatten out a little bit. So I want you to shape like that, bring you like that, and bring you like that. Flatten you back out. There we go. I think that's got some good shape to it. I think it's a little heavier on one end than the other. There we go. I don't even know which side I like better on that. That's really cool. All right, just kind of fingers in there. Make sure we get an even flattening. Really think one of the next things I need to lay out and make is just a set of guides. You know, you can buy them everywhere, but since I like to make everything I use, I might as well make myself a set. So now here's where it's kind of cool when, like, if I'd have done less polishing, less burnishing, and left some of the actual texture in there a little bit more. I mean, it's definitely got some of it where there's like depth left behind, if that makes sense. And I think that makes it look really cool. I'm surprised by how much I'm liking this Salrak grass that has just such a neat effect. And it's handling the sizing down and stuff and the stretching really well. For Vortex, we're kind of losing something of its shape in working with it. Somehow the Salrak grass is actually getting more visually interesting as it's getting manhandled. Yeah, that's interesting. I would have thought that I would have ended up using Vortex for most of that. Yeah, it's definitely cool beads. Like cool beans, but cool beads. Oh my gosh, I haven't heard that as a term in forever and ever. Come on, lift up, get a little 3/4 on me. There we go. That again. could stick a needle through these and kind of preset their holes. If I want to do that, I need them to firm up a whole bunch. Or I can wait and just hit them with the Dremel. I think if I want to go, yeah, it's a little too tall to be able to use my actual drill press. So, make the rest of them smaller, then I only have to do the one by hand. And I kind of, like I said, I want this to have sort of a just very, very handmade tribal kind of look because it just goes with the feel of that pattern. So I want them all different sizes, all different shapes, just super, super, super handmade looking. Try to leave this on screen for you instead of kicking everything off screen. Doop. Rolly, 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 rolly. Uh, doop. Lean in a little, lean in a little. Go flat. There you go. One thing I do like is I'm getting a bit of that dark color back in, so that makes me happy. Probably go through and like press them all together to make sure we're similar in height and depth. Okay, looks like we get about 2 more out of that. Closing it in, closing it in. Oh, we got a little air bubble there. Think I can drive you out? Yeah, looks like that worked. Okay. I was trying to close that in. So if I had realized I was going to be doing this with it, I probably would have gone ahead and gone with the color matching core on this part. It actually sort of matters a little. What the heck does the Rottenweiler think he's yelling at? Apparently he thinks something exists that needs to be in trouble. It's really so cool how clay and patterns work. It just so fun how everything just shifts and changes and mushes and like the messier and less particular you are, the better it usually ends up looking. I swear, start getting all perfectionistic on this sort of stuff, and I don't know, it just doesn't ever end up being the same. I mean, like, yes, it's fun to be perfectionistic. Don't get me wrong. Have all the lines match up and everything do exactly what you tell it to do. But I swear, there's just something so cool in how organic you can get with it, and how cool that looks too. This one I think I like better on the other side. Yep, that one's definitely going vortex side out. Yeah, I think these will make a really cool, like chunky necklace. All right. So, have all those floating around. will swap these onto paper and not leave them. Well, actually, if I leave them on the tile, it makes it easier to sand the top layer. So maybe I'll end up with leaving them on the tile. We'll see. And that means I have to work harder to sand the other side, but what do we think? Everything looks pretty good there, right? Go 3 at a time. Just flatten you down. And so we've got similar height to all of you guys. It's funny. One had to come up each time. Okay, cool. And then I've got 2 more scraps like that. So let's go ahead and do a set in Wired and Grimgran. And just so I don't have to mix up more, that's off-white color. We'll just stick with the white. Because it's sitting here. Alrighty. Do it 1 layer, or did I do it 2 layers? I think I double layered it and then double layered it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. That's about the right. That way. Let's just pop it in half. Cut side to cut side, and then I get clean edge to clean edge. I'm just brushing that anyway. Boop. What's the bladed edge? This is getting awfully dull, apparently. Probably need a new blade to beat up. This one actually has been around a long time. I think it's one of the first sets of like cheesy Timu blades I bought, which is why I'm so mean to it. One that I use for slicing makumegane. I'm super careful with, and I've got like a box of like 25 of them. I'm still so nice to it. And this is like the one and only of these big heavy blades, and I'm just like torturing the heck out of it. It's great. Alrighty, so let's pop you on. And stretch you around as far as you will go. A little bit of roller. Try to make sure we don't have any air hung up in there. On the stretch and stretching. Now we flippy flippy. Fold all that down as tight as it needs to be. Foldy, 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 foldy. Oh, good. It sounds like he's got the tuning working well. We're getting that pasta machine not so obnoxious. I always feel bad turning that on you guys because I know it's loud. And then I often am working while I've got my printer going. So I don't use my filament printer a ton, but when I get on a mission, I do. And right now I'm trying to get all the sample sets of my cutters printed up with the boxes and everything so that I can actually get some photographs of all that and sell them to you guys. Because everyone keeps on asking for them. So it seems like it's time to get them on the website. Alrighty. Get you to kind of thicken up a little bit like we did with the other set. Start from a nice thick spot. Use the back side. It's just a little bit more, just stripes. The wired side is definitely really good pattern. Take you off, fold you in. I'm going to pretty much assume that we'll be working from the wired side. only one that's particularly good on this side is maybe that. And then otherwise, I think everything's going to be from here. So small one, let's do a bigger one, this big one, something a little smaller again, and then this end is bigger. And pinch all those down. Well, I guess I didn't leave myself anything to make. Oh, I wonder if we should do an earring out of these too. Make something that's a little bit more planned out for living the earring life. That would make a cool dangle for earrings too, especially if I've got some beads to go with them. I might have to figure out what this purpley, blacky, bronzy color is and make some more of that too, because I think that would be really cool for oh wow, that's neat. Man, this wired pattern is like my all-time favorite. All of them are good. That wired one is just awesome. Yeah, I definitely think we're gonna need to make up some of that purple too. Mm, that's still live? Okay. Oh, hi, Pia Finch. What is a Pia Finch? I had a horse named Pia. She was amazing. Um, yeah, so we're making beads essentially. I was working with playing with my rollers earlier, doing sample sets so that I can get photographs for the website. And so this was the earlier version of this, is just running through all these rollers and seeing how they rolled out. And then I decided to go ahead and throw some colors together and build a project with them. So that is what we're in the middle of now. And I had started before leaving for lunch, dinner, whatever you want to call it, for Easter. Oh, now I'm back at it again. I came home and the project was still sitting on my desk. And I was like, I'll turn the camera back on and hang out with you guys and work on a little bit more. So that's what we are making, is beads. This I'm thinking will become a necklace. And then I've got all these rolls that will become beads of sorts. So I will probably string them, set them up on the, for like the, how do you say it? What are those called? They do them on grommets. And I make them to fit paracord because I do dog leads out of them for my show dogs. But they're also the same size as like the lampwork style beads, or Pandora beads. That's what they call them. So these aren't Pandora style, but the other way I make them is they end up being similar to Pandora beads. So they make really good bracelets and they make great dog show lead beads. Mm, Now these are coming out a bunch rounder than the last version I did. There we go. We're getting there with these. So they're kind of pretty on both sides too. Kind of mostly just striped-ish on the one side. And then all that cool, almost like, I don't know, it's almost like soap bubbles once you start kind of playing with it and making it round up a little bit more. So rather than it just looking long and stretched, kind of turn bubbly effect. Roll them a little and just pinch and pull and pinch and pull and pinch and pull. So we like the shape. And like I was saying earlier, I can either bake them on this glass, or I can do them move them over to a piece of cardstock and keep the matte effect, because baking them on the glass will make one side shiny. However, it's not that hard to make that go away with some sanding, and it holds them down so that I can sand the top side really easily. So it makes sanding half of them a lot easier. But then when you have to pick them up and do the other half, it's still a pain in the butt. But it might be worth it. fatten you up a little bit. Sorry, make sure I stay on the camera for you guys. Yep, I'm liking those. You want a couple that are a little smaller, so I can vary the size. And just pinching, 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 pinching. I guess I could tip you guys a little bit this way since I keep taking you guys off, taking my work off camera. Pretty good when I first start because I'm paying attention. And then you just kind of get in the habit of creating. And she was the coolest horse ever. Oh my God. She was amazing. I think I got the name off of a character in oh, that's what it was. Jane Yellowrock was the book I was reading. And it was she was a shapeshifter who accidentally stole the soul of a mountain lion. That's what it was. And she hunted vampires. That was a pretty cool story. And she ended up with a sidekick that was named Pia. It was a Grendelo. I have no idea what that really is, but it was a cool character. And I like the name, so. Alrighty. Let's try to get these kind of even in size. And you guys all out. It's so funny how one wants to stick every time. And you guys out. Alrighty. So that is all now ready to go in the oven, or at least out of my way. That's sitting there. And oh, you know what else we haven't done yet? Where'd my scraps go? There's my scraps. Huh. I don't have that dark purple made up. What do I have? Use my bronzer. What's that? Ah, that's close enough. It's not as dark, but that's close. So the question is, do we use it as that, or do we add a little black? No, I think that's close enough. All right, cool. So next thing we're going to mess around with is, let's just roll this out and see if this will log up enough for me. Yeah, that's soft enough, I think. All right, so there we go. And I think I want to start with, come on, you need to come all up in one piece. Oh, naughty. So naughty. Go there. I want this whole strip. It's sitting there just a little bit too long. I don't need the dog hair to come with it. Down on there. And go. So, yep, that worked. And down and in. And then I need a strip to go along the back side. Loosen up you are. Try to get you to line up along one side. I'm going to get all of that scrap out of there so it doesn't mess up my patterning. You come. Gotcha. Go away. Whatever, you're fine there. just need to fill in this bit. So something on the thinner side. Oh no. No, no, come here. There we go. Okay, come on. You can do it. Actually, I want that big chunky bit there. Just bring you all the way up. There we go. Nice. Might want something else on top there. It's just a little awkward. Something makes it less awkward. That helped. Okay. Yeah, that is definitely a win. Where am I? I am in Florida, USA. And you are in Australia, huh? That's fascinating. I like Australian birds. I like some of your cockatoos and such. They've got some really, really cool birds there. All right. Next is probably could do another one of those for all the swirly bits. Grab another one of that. Now I want to know what colors I mixed to make this color. I'm always losing track of what my color recipes are. I really should like start putting stickers on all those little containers. Mark down what I put in there. But I always just get so caught up working in the moment that I don't keep tabs on stuff like that. Alrighty. So let's see. I just want some of this vortexy action going on. To be honest, some of these that are a little thick and lacking detail, we can actually slice away a little bit again. So like this one here, I think we come in here and slice away a little bit of this extra blue, we should, yep, be able to expose some of that. So yeah, go on our little scrap log. Alrighty. Next piece. Yay. Just kind of want to keep playing with all these little swirls and stuff. And adding to them. Oh well, it is what it is. I think it looks better on this side versus the other side, but yep, it is what it is. This one is not coming out quite as neat and intentional as the other one, but it's still looking pretty cool. That's one. I don't have quite as big as scraps, and I'm thinking I kind of want to save those bigger scraps for maybe actually trying to make a pendant out of. Yeah, so this is how I like to use my mokumigane scraps. And sometimes it's very controlled and very intentional, and other times it's just an absolute hot mess of whatever lands wherever. And it looks like this vortex version is whatever lands wherever. Which, like I said, sometimes the less intentional you are, the more interesting things turn out. I think it's an important life lesson, and definitely an important art lesson. Sometimes less is more is more. But honestly, there's usually something to be said for just winging it. Still want to stay with the swirly. Ah, I lost the swirl in that. There, here's a chunk. There we go. Swirl-ish there. And I don't even know what to do with the rest of you. You're like tentacles. Or ninetacles. Eightacles. Sorry. uh, over on the peely part. There we go. Down. Come in. Eek. Nope. There you. Oh, there you go. Now you're doing good things. And that's just a hot mess. Let's see what we got. Yeah, that works. This pair here. Just put them in. There we go. Now, how much vortexiness do I have left here? There we go. I'm going to go to there, and then I'm going to pinch that off because I want to keep what's under there. And that kind of is just a chunky scrap, not as much patterning. There it goes. Come on, stay. Go down. Go down. Stay. Pop you there. Go. There's something for this area. Vortexified. I don't know. I'm thinking that's looking pretty darn good and finished. Roll it there. Get it flattened. Yeah, I think that makes an interesting bead roll too. Okay, and then I'm going to dip out all these scraps. Oh, that's what I have. I can put them on here. Ah. Oh, rats. That wasn't scraps. That was an actual bead. Hold on. Are you safe? Are you alive in there? No, come on. You were a bead. You were intentional. Come back. Oh, come on. You can do it. You want to live. There we go. You picked up a little purple, but oh well. Okay, I think you'll survive like that. All right, so back to what I was doing. I was trying to roll myself out a little bit of a core so that I can drop some scraps on it. Actually, I think go with this instead because that's mostly white. And yeah, this part's more color, so. All right, and we're just gonna load you up with all this extra scraps that are floating around on here. I'm keeping some of these bigger pieces, but enough all the scratches. At least fill in anything that's got white. Stay down. Stay where I put you. Much white over here. Fill you in. Scraps of sorts. More scraps of sorts. More scraps. I swear this is like my favorite part is just making a mess of all the scrappiness. Oh, here's some good scraps. So, let's see, in here. Oh, yeah, you can keep that. That's not necessary for anything. Okay. I'll let the rest of that hang around and see what I end up making with that. There we go. And like I said, always impressed me for little bead rolls. Those will make some really pretty little divider beads or whatever. And it's got a touch more purple than the last version did, so that's nice. Okay. Is this pile of chunky scrap? Up. No, you guys don't need to yell about with the world. Those dogs do like to boss the world around. A little twist to it. And sometimes I'll come back and untwist it and twist it the other way. Just see what happens. Basically marble it. There we go. Got a pretty little appeal for some small beads. Actually really good for some small beads. Okay. All right. So I have extra scrap still floating around and not much room for making a pendant with that. So I think I'm just going to leave that for later. I'll need a tile to work on more beads. Let's see. I don't think I have another one sitting around. No. So we can just work on here for a bit. So let's go ahead and make a handful of little beads. It's like too chunky purple. There we go. All right, since I want these to kind of be spacers, I want a little bit more similarity in size. And you know what? Let me grab the jiggies somewhere. This got really dusty. Ooh, where's my pat brush? Pat brush time. All right. So this only sort of works. So I have not perfected it enough to put it on the website, but I don't know. Maybe I could. So it's a bead roller. And it usually works by going roughly the diameter of one of those. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the compliment. I appreciated you hanging out with us today. It's a little too long. What I'm going to do is go ahead and cut off there. And I think I'm going to let that see what it does. Nope, 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 nope. You stay put. Stay where I put you. Okay. And then just lay that in and go crunchy. Essentially, that should cut us into even sized pieces. And then ideally, if you go roll it up. That was a fail. So it. Right. No, no, no. It made a new noise. Oh, nothing can change in this house. All right. So I didn't leave fat enough, and now I have to roll them all up. But at least cut them for me. So, like I said, I haven't perfected the system yet, which is why they are not on the website for sale. I do not have starters for a bunch of even ones. Hello, Carolyn. My sister's name is Carolyn. Yes. Nice to see you here today. Randy. And these I actually will put on a piece of cardstock because I will not be sanding them. I do not have that much patience. And I will just drill them out later. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'll try to keep a little bit louder. I just got a new system with a new microphone, and sometimes I still get mumbly. So I am working on learning how to use it. Thank you for the feedback. And now I have yappy dogs. Karma, no. I put them up with dinner, and now they're bored of being up. Especially Karma. She wants to be in my lap at all times. Alrighty. We're getting somewhere on these. Yeah, pretty little marbled effect on those. I like them a lot. Beep. They're so little, though. Right? Pretty little things. And just keep rolling. Just keep rolling. Round and round and round we go. That came out pretty too. Good. Almost done. I will say, I'm not opposed to the way that little bead roller thingy actually quarters them for me. like cuts them out in a way that's really nice. But I have yet to perfect the height or the size that that log needs to be when it goes in. So that makes it kind of tricky. All right. But it did set me up with a bunch of nice even sized beads. So I am quite pleased. Just keep rolling. Just keep rolling. Alrighty, so there are those guys. I'm going to put them on that tiny tile. Make it easier to lift them up. And don't let anybody touch. And those guys will be ready to go into the oven in a little bit. Oh, we passed the light. I definitely think the new light box is helping out a bunch, though, with the lighting. I think it makes it a lot easier to see. All right, let's see if I can. You know what? I'm actually going to set those in the oven now. That one must be really round. Same one that keeps trying to run off. All right, those are in the oven, safe and sound. It's an important thing because, oh my goodness, they were giving me some grief. All right, so next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is place one of these logs in those cord beads. So what is it I need? I need my bead roller thingies, bead roller plate. And I'm thinking these are all going to be relatively big. So these are available on both Etsy and my website. Really handy. I think I put all my little cores actually away. It's a half empty bag. So I've covered this a few times, but I will cover it again. These are grommets, and they can be found on Amazon all over the place. There's tons of different sizes, tons of different colors. They come from itty bitty all the way up to huge. And the size I use is somewhere between 4.5 and 5.5 millimeters in the center hole because I want them to be big enough to fit over paracord. And that's about the same size as what would be called lampwork beads or like snake chain or kind of Euro beads. There's a few names for them, but anyway, they work really nicely for what I'm doing. And then I like to have, here we go. So very skinny, like 2 millimeter, 2.5 millimeter little pokey device. And this one is just under, actually, I don't think that's the right one. Yeah, so it's just under the size. So these are totally free rolling, but it's fat enough to mostly fill it up. So it works better than using something too thin. And then the next thing is, let's pick one of these. Let's do this one. I'm really excited to see how that one turns out. And then another thing that's cool, super helpful, and I do sell these on Etsy also, is I call it a market measurement marker. So I've got them marked on the inside as to what the sizes are. And I want the widest setting. And essentially, this end has just a little ridge on it so that you can kind of line up with the outer edge, set it on, give it a little half roll, and it'll set your little markings in there for you so it makes it a little easier to cut. So, a firm blade, not a soft blade. And I want some of these bigger, some of them littler. I'm going to kind of find a smaller one. And this next one, I want like a 1.5. And then that one, I'll do it a 1.5 also. And again, it's a 1.5. And then that one, I'm going to definitely cut that off because it's not attractive. And then that's going to be pretty big. I guess I'll do that in half. I think I need to stand up for that too. All right, cool. Okie dokie. So, blades away. Not sure if you guys have seen that yet floating around. It's a little magnetized butterfly blade holder. Love that thing. All right, so I will roll the ends in just a little bit like we were doing the beads earlier. And once we get those in a little bit, doesn't have to be all the way, but just enough so that my colors come up around the edge. And then I will set it down. I can start it without coming in on the ends either. I could probably get away with it with these because the color is not offensive to the rest of it. All right, so then once I get started, roll it down a little bit. I'm going to do that until the hole gets big enough. I'll pour in. So you see what I mean about the edge? You don't necessarily have to do a ton of work to close that in because it'll go by itself. Hi, guys. And then roll them by hand. There we go. We're already getting really far. And to be honest, that would do it. This little hand roll usually is enough to have a good effect. But what I like to do is I take it on its little pokey sticker. Scraps floating around over here. And the dogs need out. So I'm going to finish up a couple samples of these real quick for you guys. And then I'm going to sign off and let the minions go play. Yeah, and then I use this to roll it back and forth and to get a shape to it. Now it works. Sometimes it'll try to pull away from, so you see it's just doing it. It'll sort of try to pull away from the edges of that on occasion. So you have to kind of watch that you don't over roll it on that and lose its connection. And if you do, you can just kind of hand roll it again one more time. And it usually levels it back out. So kind of just a little lightweight once or twice over. And that gets you just a really good shape to it. And it says just over and over. Let's go ahead and try this without. Because usually I just yes, like that. Their their baby brother, the Rottweiler, is done with dinner apparently and wandering around the house with dad. So they have decided they want to be loose too. All right, so we just kind of roll this a couple times. Get that hole to open up in there. Settle, settle, kiddos. Karma, no. All the little voices. And next one. And just kind of pinch it to it. And give it a little roll to kind of set it all in there. Usually try to make sure that you don't end up with too much covering the grommets on the inside. If that can cause that problem where it likes to release from the grommets. I usually use my fingers to kind of just outer edges just to kind of try to get that set on there pretty good before I roll it on here. Oops, there. Make sure your rollers are clear. So you can get picky and try to clean off all that stuff early on. Like that, you see that whole cap of clay there, but that just pops right off once it's baked. So I usually leave it alone. Oh, scrap something trying to catch on. Yeah, that's pretty. I'm glad I put that purple in the core. That's absolutely perfect. Those are coming out gorgeous. Dogs are now starting to take their cake bowls out of the crate and play with them. Out of the little food bowl holders. They're such dorks when they get bored. They crack me up. Okay. Scraps and things floating around. So I always keep a little, just something to, like a little clay bob of sorts, just to knock off any little clay pieces that come up. And then, like, as it starts getting hung up in these rails, I'll use my nail and just kind of pull it up and stick it on the little clay scrap piece I have sitting around. Oops, I don't have those in yet. I have one in. Don't have them both in yet. Open up. And that one's in. Like I said, it's usually not necessary to have to pull the edges over. Usually they come over as you're working on it. Rolly, 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 roll. And sticking. Give it a little bit of a crease shape. And then roll it off. And like I said, that little bit that comes up on the edge of that grommet, as long as you see the silver split on it, you're not going to have any problems with that. Just it'll pop right off once you're done baking them. And then I usually just set them, grommet down on the, that's not closed in enough. That one still has spacing on the grommet. That'll just fall right off. But yeah, I usually just set them down on the grommet on a piece of tile and they bake right up just fine. And then that's doing it. So that was a spacing thing. It's just a little too much clay for trying to make it on the small setting. And it's just something you learn by playing with this is how much clay fits in which groove set. So like I've got multiples of these, and I've got one more that's even fatter, so it'll get you build you a rounder bead. Where the way these are coming out is about how I like them. So I usually end up working on this middle plate. Usually top and then bottom. That way I'm centered on both ends. Enough to open up that. I usually also use my thumbnails as kind of a guide on the glass so that I can feel about how far down I push to get that opening the size I want it. So once I kind of get that dialed in, it's pretty easy to consistently roll the similar size opening. But yeah, So that's a handful of different ways to make a handful of different beads out of this stuff. And I think since we've been going for a while, what are we, hour 30? Wow. Time flies, doesn't it? I'm crazy, especially when crafting. But yeah, I think I'll go ahead and finish this one up, and then I will go release my little babies from dinner purgatory. They love their crates until they're bored of their crates, and then they want out of their crates. There you go. But yeah, and feel free to like, share, subscribe, follow me here, follow me on Facebook. I am on Facebook as Cassandra Jean Artist, and the business page is Cassandra Jean Designs. So if you want to see something of the Papillons, they're on the artist page, because that page just became my personal page. But anyway, yeah, so you can check me out there. I've got a link to the Etsy, or no, not the Etsy shop. I have a link to the website within the description. I'll probably try to remember to throw a link to the Etsy site once I get this whole collection as a listing, because I don't have it as a collection listing yet. It's just individually. So once I get that listed, I will change the link, and that way you guys can find this whole collection or individual pieces. But yeah, so my website is Cassandra Jean Designs, and got probably a good half of my patterns up on there. I keep working on getting more up every day. And then the Etsy shop is the same thing, cassandrajeandesigns.etsy.com. And you can find a whole bunch of stuff on there too. The cutters and stuff are more on the website than they are on the Etsy shop, because it's hard to get all the options and stuff on Etsy. So yeah, I'm able to build out my listings more custom on my website. So that's why I'm trying to lean into that a little bit more. But yeah, so that is where things are at the moment. I will sign off, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful end of your Easter Sunday. And I will see you guys all on the next one. Have a great one.